Hey guys, it's Cameron, and in this video, I wanted to talk to you guys about what you actually need to do to break into tech. So, the do's, what you do need, the don'ts, what you don't need, just kind of really laying everything out in this video so you overall know how to actually land tech roles because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. There's a lot of things that a lot of people feel like they actually need to do, which don't actually hold a lot of the weight or they aren't actually the solution to the problem. So this is why this video exists, to basically just kind of lay everything out, tell you exactly what you need to do and everything like that. So if you don't know me or know too much about me, my name is Cameron. I'm a six-figure 23-year-old ex-Apple engineer, currently working in the industry. I've got a first-class degree, published research, multiple certifications, so on and so on, right? And because of these, I've seen what it's like in the tech industry, and I know exactly what it takes to be hired, right? And that's ultimately why I'm making this video for you guys, right? So there's a few common misconceptions when it comes to breaking into tech, but let me just have some coffee first. So it seems to be that the main solution to break into tech and you're not getting the ideal results that you're looking for. So maybe you're collecting rejection emails, maybe you're being ghosted, maybe you're not hearing back from recruiters after sending them your CV, maybe you get to the final stage and then you don't get the offer and they go with another candidate. Anything like that, the typical go-to solution is I'm going to just develop my technical knowledge and skill sets more. Now, that is a great thing to do, 100%. That's still investing into your development for the long term. However, that may not necessarily be the actual problem at hand, right? There's a very particular part that can be the problem for, which I'll get into. But usually investing into your technical skill sets and kind of developing that further, that doesn't actually mean you're going to be hired any more easily, right? And I'll give you an example. So for your technical skill sets and actually developing them, the only place that can ever be a bottleneck in terms of actually being hired and landing high paying tech roles is if you're getting to the interview stages and then you're not passing them purely because of your technical knowledge. Like you're in an interview, they're asking you technical knowledge questions and you just simply don't know the answers at all to any of them. You couldn't even give it a guess, right? That is the only situation where technical skill sets actually probably do need to be developed a little bit more. The rest, it doesn't matter for the actual hiring process, right? So submitting your CV, your portfolio, speaking with recruiters, trying to get the interviews in the first place, passing ATS, having your CV reviewed by the hiring manager, offer negotiations, anything like that, getting more interview loops, any of that, if it's not going to be specifically the technical knowledge in the interview questions that you're not too sure about, then it's going to be something else. And that's something that, is very important to know. And I try to tell as many people this as possible because if you genuinely want to break into tech, you need to know where you're going wrong and also how to fix it, right? And of course, that's the hardest part, knowing how to fix it. Now, there's most of the situations and kind of most of the steps in terms of breaking into tech, they don't come from technical knowledge and developing that further, right? Except from, that situation I just mentioned. So if you're not passing ATS, you're getting rejection emails, you're getting ghostings even before the interviews, or you're not getting the next interview loops and they've said that they've found a better candidate and not necessarily for the technical knowledge, or you're getting to the offer negotiation stages and you're kind of getting your offers rescinded and that kind of stuff, then it's not going to be a technical knowledge problem. Now, in terms of that not being what you need, there's also a few other things that you don't need to break into tech as well. So you don't need a degree. You don't need a degree to break into tech. And the reason why you don't need a degree to break into tech is because there's plenty of people who do get a degree, right? I've got a first class degree. I graduated from university and I graduated straight into unemployment. So, you can't rely on university too much. It can provide you, and once again, this is technical skill sets. They don't really tell you how to actually be hired. So that is something else in and of itself. But yeah, they teach you outdated technical knowledge and stuff like that ultimately doesn't hold the weight that it needs to ultimately rely on to be hired for those roles, right? If that was the only thing that you actually needed to do, then you would be in tech, before graduation, right? You would have like dozens of internships, you have a graduate role lined up, that kind of stuff. And there's plenty of people who break into tech without actually needing to go to university, right? I decided to go to university. That was just my own personal choosing because not necessarily because of the degree. It was more about the free time that I could have to actually devote to building out proven systems to actually break into tech myself. But that's kind of more of like another video. But in terms of actually the degree itself, it doesn't hold that much weight. There's loads of people who have a degree now, and it's not really holding the weight that it once did. And that's one of the things that is very important to understand. There's tens of thousands of fresh computer science graduates from multiple different universities across the country, and you're going to be competing against all of them, and you all basically have the same computer science degree, right? So getting a degree, it can be useful, right? It of course is not like a bad thing, I guess, but it also doesn't kind of fix the actual problem and actually tell you how to be hired, right? You're going to be learning like the basics of computer science, maybe some advanced stuff, but you're not going to be an expert by the time you graduate. I don't know if you had this, but when I was thinking of going to university, I thought I was going to graduate into like a senior role because it's like higher education, you're going to be learning advanced topics. No, you still start as a junior just like everybody else, so that's something to also consider. But that's something that you're not actually missing. You're not missing a degree. Now, something else that you're missing is experience, right? And the reason why you're not missing experience, or that's not what you actually need to be hired, is because it's like a cyclical cycle, right? It's like iterative, and it's like, well, how can I get experience if I don't have experience? And then it's just like a constant loop of that. And if you was to kind of think like, okay, well, I didn't get hired because I don't have experience. Okay, fair enough, right? That may potentially have been the case. Maybe they said they've moved forward with another candidate and they have some experience or some specific experience that they're looking for or something like that, right? Well, what can you do? Well, it's not actually about the experience, right? It's about how you position yourself into the confidence in your skill sets. And I'll give you an example, right? So when I went for the Apple internships at the ages of 20, I was doing the interviews and things like that. I was in a bachelor's, right? So just a bachelor's of computer science degree. And I was up against people who were doing masters, people who finished PhDs, right? I was up with people who were like 25, 30, who have already been in the industry, who have experience. And at the time, I didn't really have much experience to my name. But because I kind of reworked it, I had a better perception. I showcased my knowledge in a better fashion, and I used strategies to kind of garner the attention and interest around me as a candidate. That ultimately stood me out more than the people who had experience. Why? Well, you can have experience, sure, and that shows that you have applied your knowledge and skill sets in a particular area. But there's plenty of people out there who haven't had the opportunity to actually land that experience yet. It doesn't mean that they don't have incredibly good value to provide. It just means that they haven't been discovered yet by the market. And to companies like Apple, that can ultimately actually help, right? Because they're like, well, this person's an undiscovered gem, they're a diamond, right? I'm not saying that's what I am, but that's kind of how they, I guess, can think of it. Like, this person hasn't been discovered by the market yet. We want to take them in before that actually is the case, and then we actually lose them to a competitor. So that's that can be kind of the situations of what can happen. So it's not going to be experience either, because tech is one of those understanding fields where they understand that everybody starts from zero, right? Nobody is like fresh out of the womb with 4 years experience, right? So everybody knows that you start from zero and you have no experience. So they're more willing to actually give you some experience if they feel that it can genuinely, obtain value from you, the same as you provide and obtain value from them. So it's not about the experience itself either, right? That's kind of more of like a higher level problem, but when you actually kind of dive one layer deeper, you actually start realizing that it's not actually about the experience itself, but more so how you portray yourself, the strategies that you employ, how you garner attention and interest as a candidate, how you ultimately stand out as one of the best choices, regardless of if you have previous experience. So you don't need a degree, you don't need that much technical skill sets and experience, and you don't need to develop it unless it's for that particular edge case. And also you don't need the experience itself. Now, you may potentially also want to go into expensive certifications, right? You might want to spend, a few thousand on getting a really big certification, and then you're kind of feeling like, okay, well, I'm gonna get this, and I'm gonna just break into the industry, and everyone's gonna be flooding me with job offers. I used to think the same before I got some of my certifications, but that's not, unfortunately, kind of how it works in reality. certifications, and this is the way that I like to think of it, they're more of like a cherry on top. So they just kind of consolidate everything that you already have, but they don't actually really do that much in terms of actually getting you hired. Of course, it's a place where you're actually showcasing your technical skill sets, sure. But yeah, as I mentioned, they're a cherry on top if you get a certification, whether it's, I don't know, CCNA, OSCP, Security Plus, Network Plus, some data science ones or coding ones. They don't really hold that much weight, right? They can do, right, if you have other things backing it up, but just on their own, they're not simply worth it. So those are the things you don't need, right? So if you're thinking, okay, if you was thinking like, okay, well, I need a degree, I need to invest in my technical knowledge and skill sets, I need some level of experience, and then kind of getting stuck because you can't get the experience, or you're thinking of even potentially investing into expensive certifications, I'm actually here to tell you that none of those are going to fix the bottlenecks that you're currently facing to break into tech roles that you ideally want. But I'll actually tell you what you're actually missing and what will actually solve these bottlenecks and provide you the solutions. So it's going to be a level of knowledge and guidance, right? So let's actually break this down. So with the knowledge, why do you need knowledge and what kind of knowledge do you need? Well, you need knowledge because unfortunately you don't know what you don't know. And what kind of knowledge that is going to be about tech career knowledge. So specifically what companies are looking for to ultimately be hired for the tech roles of your choosing. What questions recruiters ask you, what questions interviewers will ask you, how to negotiate offers, the entire kind of job application process, everything, right? And that's the knowledge that you ultimately need. Because if you're not even passing applicant tracking systems with your CV or application, then why would it be a technical knowledge problem, right? Because you're not even getting to the interview to showcase that technical knowledge. So it's going to be about a knowledge part, and it's going to be about the specific knowledge. So it's not really going to be technical. It's going to be more so about, okay, what is the process from start to finish, from clicking the apply button to negotiating multiple different tech job offers at the other end, and also every single step in between. So speaking with recruiters, speaking with hiring managers, behavioral interviews, technical interviews, how to structure and word your answers, what to say and also not say, do and not do, projects, portfolios, your CV format, really everything. And it's so important, right? Because this is genuinely the solution that I'm providing you here to land the tech roles that you want. It's not about technical knowledge. It's not about if you have a degree, previous experience, expensive certifications, or fancy, long projects that are huge and didn't really amount to too much. It's about if you actually have the knowledge to know exactly what companies are looking for and then replicating that process so that you can show that to them. It's kind of like a mirror, like a reflection. You're being shown the reflection and you just simply have to mimic exactly what they're looking for to be hired, right? And it's simple and easy once you know exactly what to do. It's just about kind of knowing what to do in the first place that kind of trips most people up. Now, the other part is going to be guidance, right? You can have all of the knowledge and everything, but there's going to be particular edge cases where certain things will need to change depending on who you are, the niche that you're going for, the roles that you're going for, potentially even the country as well, the current job market situations that can change with job market trends and whatnot. So that's why there also needs to be some sort of level of guidance there as well, because you need to be able to have ideally one-to-one support, but it can also be in the forms of groups or things like that as well. But ideally one-to-one, because that can ultimately give you the best probabilities of actually leveraging the knowledge and the strategies to ultimately break into tech, right? Because there will be certain edge cases, as I've just mentioned, where you will need to tweak certain strategies or the knowledge that you're being given to showcase different things. And that's very important, because if you don't have the guidance there, you may fall into other bottlenecks along the way that can't be solved because you don't have an expert kind of guiding you along that, right? So those are the two things that you're missing, right? It's only those two things. It's knowledge to actually know what you need to know to actually portray your value to companies in the correct fashion and light for tech roles. And then two is going to be the guidance to actually have the help as and when it's needed to curate the strategies, curate the knowledge, and showcase what's truly needed and alleviate any bottlenecks that come along the way. So that's ultimately what you need to break into tech, right? And I want to say this, of course you do need some level of technical knowledge, 100%, but you'd be surprised at how low the bar on that actually is. Because if you rely on knowledge in terms of being hired and also the guidance there to actually know how to be hired, then you'll break into basically kind of any role that you want within reason. And then from there, the companies will typically give you a yearly budget of like a few thousand to then reinvest into your technical development and knowledge. So you can actually kind of get the full kind of puzzle, right? So you get into the tech roles that you're looking for, plus also developing your technical knowledge further based on the company's budgets that they then provide to you. So that's basically everything, guys. Like that's basically everything like mapped out, the full roadmap, right? What you don't need to break into tech and what you do need. So yeah, guys, and if you need some help with this kind of stuff, right? So like the guidance, getting the right knowledge, that kind of stuff, feel free to tell you what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description where you can actually book in a call with me and we can discuss kind of getting that guidance, getting that knowledge, and yeah, I'll just lend a bit of a hand and see if I can help you out. But that's what I'll do. It'll be in the top of the description, so feel free to check that out. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much everything. So yeah, you don't need a degree, you don't need technical skill sets really to a certain extent, you don't need experience and you don't need expensive certifications. All you're simply missing at the moment is guidance from someone who knows what they're doing, so someone who's actively in the industry, and ideally to a certain level as well. The higher level of guidance that you get from someone in the industry, the more bottlenecks they're going to know how to solve. If you have let's say a mentor from someone who's an entry level tech role, well, they'll only ever be able to help you up to the same position that they're currently in, so entry level tech roles. Whereas if you meet someone who's like at the top of the industry, FANG, fintech, AI companies, anything like that, then they can help you up to that point, right? So you can get the same or similar tech success to that mentor. So it's also about, where you find that guidance as well. But once you have the guidance, once you have the knowledge, it's basically just a streamlined process of just doing certain things or not doing certain things. And that ultimately gives you the tech job offers that you're looking for, right? So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video.